Motherfucking Sony, man. God damn, we have an interesting thing to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this has been a little bit on the news ever since E3, but I wanted to talk about the situation because for me, it's kind of a weird sitch that it's happening in the first place. Now, I hate to constantly be referencing Fortnite here and there, but I'll use it as a proper example. In fact, it's not even the example that drove me to make this rant in the first place. It's actually about another game that's coming out. But I don't know how many of you all play Fortnite, but I don't know how many of you all use the cross-saving type feature that it has or the cross-platform stuff. But basically, if you have an Epic Games account and you have Fortnite, you can actually share your progress across every single platform. A feature that I'm glad exists. I've been asking for, years at least, for GTA Online to allow me to save between the PS4 and the PC so that I could play it on, both my big TV downstairs and my PlayStation 4 and play it up in my computer. You save your future between both consoles, just like the more logical choice, I guess, for any of these MMO type experiences or multiplayer experiences in general. But for those of you who've been following around, it seems that Sony has blocked off Nintendo's Twitch users from accessing their Epic Games account if at any point you were connected to Sony in the first place, which unfortunately for a lot of people was it seems like a grand majority, because it seems a lot of us have linked our accounts to the PlayStation. If I do play Fortnite, it's either between my PC, Xbox One, or the Switch if I have to. Again, that's in the rare case that I do actually play Fortnite. So, for me, the cross-play, cross-save stuff didn't exactly hit as far a home as I expected, but the next example I'm bringing might bite me a little far in the ass. So, for those of you who don't know, Fallout 76 is a multiplayer-only Fallout game that's coming out this year, and me and my buddies have actually been excited for it. And one of the interesting features that I was really excited to possibly see was an idea of cross-saving. Because cross-saving to me is, or cross-play, rather, is an interesting concept because it basically is the answer to the weird multiplayer communities that we have today, which is one of the biggest problems in gaming right now. But at least for Fallout 76, it seems as though we won't be getting cross-play, and that may just be due to Sony's lack of wanting to give in, as according to Bethesda, which is a damn shame if it is. Now, let me explain to you the biggest problem with multiplayer gaming, at least in my opinion right now. The communities are so fucking fragmented, and that's a big problem with it's a big problem with a multitude of reasons, but that's one of them. For one, it's the idea of the old archaic model of releasing multiple DLC packs, which split up a lot of the community to begin with. But the idea that there is a lot of multiplayer games to pick from nowadays leads to a lot of these communities being far tinier than we expected. See, back in the day, at least on Xbox 360, when it came from multiplayer choices, we had your Halos, you had your Call of Duties, you had your Battlefield, and to be honest, a lot of those games were so good at the time that nobody really switched to anything else. I mean, yeah, we had the issue with games like BioShock 2 where the multiplayer came out and died literally within 2 weeks, but that situation wasn't too uncommon. Nowadays, multiplayer games are literally existing more so than, at least on par, or at least it seems that they eclipse single-player experiences. Today's video is not about single-player. Single-player is alive and healthy. God of War proves that. A lot of games from Sony's can't prove it, and hell, a lot of games that have come out this year, last year, proved it in general as well. So single-player games aren't going anywhere, but multiplayer games are becoming more so the new norm, especially games that promote cooperative play like The Division or Destiny or something of the sort. Games even promoting cooperative team-based work such as Fortnite or PlayerUnknown's Battleground. We see this shit happening more and more, and with the rise of Battleground games, you're about to see more multiplayer experiences kick up than you've ever seen before. And the biggest issue with all that, of course, is fragmentation. Think about it like this. We have the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, each with their different counts of player population. Some games are more populated on one side, some aren't. And unfortunately, at least for the Xbox side, and sometimes the PC side, we seem to see less multiplayer games succeeding. Just because at least on the PC, we have a lot more games to pick from, and even genres that are exclusive to that point entirely. You've got Dota 2, you've got League of Legends, you've got every single unknown Battlegrounds game that you can ever find, you've got Siege, you've got Counter Counter-Strike, you've got a bunch of games that you can pick from. On the console front, it seems as though that people stick to pretty much what's tried and true. And with more and more developers releasing multiplayer-only games, it seems like the issue is going to get a little more worse as time goes off. If you've ever seen a population graph for any multiplayer game, you'll often notice that in the first month, the population's really fucking high, no matter what system you play on. Month 2, month 3, you start seeing it gradually drop off, and then month 6, it drops off to the point where it is a shadow of what it once was. But that's really the actual player count you're going to get until the game eventually dies off years down the road. I've seen games die off within 6 months, sometimes they make it to a year, and beyond that is almost a rare exception nowadays. And am I surprised by it? No, I'm not. But to me, the biggest saving grace in all this was cross-play, which was something that Microsoft really started pushing, at least with PC, and nowadays it seems like they're really in bed with the Nintendo Switch. More and more games from Microsoft and Nintendo Switch are becoming cross-play, games like Rocket League, games like Minecraft, games like Fortnite. And some of you might laugh at the choices, but it's a pretty big deal to be having some of these high-profile games able to be played with people from the Xbox, camp, PC, and Nintendo Switch. And I'm always wondering why the fuck Sony is constantly so adamant against this. Now, the biggest argument that Sony has towards this is that they really can't handle the enforcement on the other platforms, and frankly, they're kind of worried about the children playing it, which are solid concerns. But to me, I've always been the one to say if you ever want to fight against that, you gotta do just 2 things. Every time you load up a multiplayer game, just have a warning. Say yes or no. Do you want to play crossplay and face the game experiences that may change during online play? And number 2, if the account is under the age of 18 anyways, then just fucking restrict crossplay. There you go. You don't have to worry about kids. You don't have to worry about anything else. You've literally given choice to every possible adult playing the fucking game right now. And the argument that you're treating us like we're goddamn children is fucking absurd to me. The idea of crossplay isn't even hard to manage. The same fucking game, Fortnite, actually proved just with an error upon their server code that you were able to connect these 2 platforms together for a limited amount of time. Sony lost their shit and promptly closed it off. Microsoft didn't care. Now, the argument really belongs to the fact that some people say that Microsoft last generation did the exact same thing. And for me, that's a weird situation to really be bringing up. Back then, Xbox Live was a paid-for service. Sony brought a free service. If you want to enable crossplay, at least the Xbox camp would rely that the PlayStation can't be brought up to the same standards. Now that both services are paid for, and Nintendo Switch is soon to be paid for as well, the idea of all these services harmonizing into almost the same level of equality, at least PlayStation and Xbox, is pretty fucking believable. And at least something consumer heavy. You know, one person might do something bad one generation, but it's not right to keep that going across multiple gens. And especially the fact that something is so simple to pull off and consumer friendly is something that I don't understand why Sony doesn't allow in the first place. For me, the biggest answer to keeping an online community alive is to allow multiple devices to end up playing together. When you look at a game on mobile cell phones like Android and iOS, you don't fucking see Google or Apple actively preventing somebody from playing with one another. They're mobile platforms. Those 2 companies, those 2 juggernauts, any tech industry focusing on smartphones realizes that, you know what, these are just personal devices that we carry in the palm of our hands. What the fuck is the point of restricting software within one another? There's so many security parameters they don't really have to worry. But it's weird on the PlayStation and Xbox camp and the Nintendo camp and PC as well, where cross-platform is this fucking taboo that people are preventing to touch. Look, the more and more games that come out with an online-only focus, the more and more Destinies and the Divisions and the MMO-like games that release, the more and more crossplay is required. Fact is, there are more multiplayer games, and there are more popular multiplayer games there are now in this generation than there were any other generation of video games to begin with. And if you're going to at least tackle some problems, yes, we started to tackle DLC, but dwindling population counts on some of these games can be greatly exacerbated if you just allowed crossplay, Sony. Microsoft and Nintendo are down with each other. Have you seen the amount of fetishizing sex they've been having on Minecraft? The amount of penises both platforms have made together? I can load up my Xbox One, and I can connect to my friend on the Switch, and we can make the grandest of penises on Minecraft. But somehow my Sony friends can't make penises with me? That's some great fucking injustice, ladies and gentlemen. But I figured I'd rant about something that's so simple to fix and really requires no level of pretensions to begin with. Let me know what you think about the situation, ladies and gentlemen. This has been me, Mudahar. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.